Hello, welcome back to Abby's Kitchen. My little boy has been in the mood for eating cake, and so today I'll be sharing my Guyana sponge cake recipe, or how I bake sponge cake. For this recipe, you'll need eggs, butter, sugar, baking powder, nutmeg, ground cinnamon, essence, flour, and optional, I have here currants, chopped cherries, chopped walnuts, and an orange. I'll just be using a little bit of the zest. So let's get into the preparation. Now this is a recipe that I've been making since I was a teenager. This is my way of making sponge cake, and I'm using sticks of butter, and this is a pound. Golden cream margarine, any of the Guyana brand of margarine is good, butter or margarine, and my sugar. Now you can use white sugar if you want, but I prefer to use brown sugar. I have my butter and my sugar, and I'm going to begin creaming. Now you don't have to use a spoon to do this. You can use a cake mixer, but I like to do this the old-fashioned, old school way, even though I do have the cake mixer. And so now you're going to cream the butter and sugar until it's all nicely melted and incorporated. I have my eldest who is creaming the butter and sugar as I put the other ingredients together. Now I'm going to season my flour here, or kind of aromatize it, and into that now I'm going to add my baking powder, and you can use self-rising flour if you want it. That is good as well. Nutmeg and ground cinnamon. And the smell. And now I'm going to take a whisk and incorporate everything together. Now the reason I'm doing this is because when you start whisking the egg, you cannot have the cake sitting out too long, or it's going to get flat and it won't have a good rise. There, this has been incorporated, and I'm going to put that aside. Now I'm going to begin working on my egg, and this is how I do it, old school way, like my grandma. And I'm going to break them one at a time, and this way, if you have a bad egg, you don't contaminate everything. Here, that's my 8 large eggs, and into that my mixed essence extract. Almond or vanilla is good as well, and a little bit of the orange zest. Now this is optional, but the old school way, we used to do it with orange peel, the dry orange peel, and we used to put it in the eggs when we were whisking it to help take away some of the eggy, rank smell, as we call it. And about 1 teaspoon of orange zest is good enough. I'm going to whisk this egg until it's nice and foamy and incorporated. Again, if you have a cake mixer and you want to use that, that is fine as well. Now I surrendered to the old egg beater, and I'm using the cake mixer. So there, the egg is nice and frothy, and I'm going to start assembling the cake. Now very quickly, I already had my baking dish. I have here a 9-inch and an 8-inch round. So have these ready to go before you start putting the cake together. Now into my creamed butter and sugar, I'm going to add all of my whisked egg, and I'm going to gently fold it in. Now at first the butter and the eggs and everything will separate, but gently mix it. It's going to come together nicely. And this is also going to help to melt any remaining sugar. And you can use the mixer here as well if you wanted to. I'm going to sprinkle and add flour in there a little bit at a time. And this is when I recommend using your hand, because the machine is going to send the flour flying all over your kitchen, and you want to incorporate that well. And again, when that's been incorporated there, sprinkle or add a little bit more, and keep adding until all of your dry and wet ingredients are combined. It's smelling like Christmas. So I've been mixing and incorporating, and it's coming together here, and I have a little bit of flour left. And I'm going to gently fold this in. And once that's folded in, I'm going to work it a little bit. There. I'm going to do the spoon test. There, my spoon is standing up straight, and this is the old school way of testing your ratio of flour to wet ingredients. If the spoon is falling, it means you need a little bit more flour. But this is perfect. So we're good. We're ready to bake. I'm going to be making 1 sponge cake. And there, my oven is up to temperature. It's at 350 and it's ready. It's time to put these in the pan. So now I'm going to add half of the batter to make a plain sponge cake. There, that's ready. And the second cake I'm going to be making into a fruit and nut cake. I'm going to add everything here into a bowl. The fruits, the nuts, the currants. I'm going to add a handful of flour, and I'm going to coat all of them. I'm going to coat it nicely with this flour. Now this is how I saw my grandma do it, and this is how my grandfather liked to eat cake. He didn't like those fruit cakes that everything was blended up. He wanted to see the fruits and the nuts inside of the cake, and this is how we did that. And gently fold in the fruit and nut. There. And into the pan. Make sure you get everything. Cakes are ready to be put into the oven. I'm gonna bake these at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 to 35 minutes. And I'm gonna check it with a toothpick. When you insert the toothpick, if it comes out clean, they're ready. Okay, I'm doing the toothpick test, and it's come out nice and clean. So this one is finished. Time to check on the other one. So the smaller pan, the plain sponge cake, is out of the oven and it's finished. I'm just gonna give the sponge cake with the fruits in it about 4 more minutes. So this one took 30 minutes to bake. The others are gonna be around 35 minutes. And here's the other one. And same, the toothpick test, nice and dry. So these are ready. And I'm just going to take it out of the pan. And I'm going to leave it here to cool a little bit before I cut into this. And this is a good tea cake. I love to eat this for breakfast in the morning with a cup of tea or coffee, and it is really, really good and delicious. I'm gonna start with the first one that came out. And this is the one that's the plain sponge cake. And I'm loving how soft and spongy this is. Oh man, look at that. Hot and spongy. And now I'm going to cut into the chopped fruit one. And this also is nice and soft and spongy. And here you have it, our delicious homemade sponge cake, the way I bake it. So do try this recipe. All of the measurements and ingredients will be listed in the description box below. Give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe, and thank you for spending time with us today in Abby's Kitchen.
So good. It's yummy and delicious.